obviously trillions of dollars not just spent on the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, but also spent on Homeland Security in so many different manifestations inside the United States, both in terms of the Patriot Act and the surveillance, but also the beefed up security, the necessary critical infrastructure investments. What's the one or two there that you say, we didn't do it right, we had the wrong focus, we overdid it, we overspent? What would you say 20 years on?
Well, it's a little hard to judge that because, in fact, we did not have a significant terrorist attack in the U.S. after 9/11. In fact, during my tenure in the Bush administration, there wasn't, after 9/11, a single American killed in the U.S. by terrorists, and we stopped a lot of terrorists. And even afterwards, there were more attacks that were really just inspired by terrorism, but not any global jihadis traveling in. So you would have to say that certainly we were successful in patrolling the borders against terrorism and building an intelligence capability to identify terrorists, and in hardening some of our infrastructure, like, for example, airplanes and the airports. Now, could we have done less? Maybe, but less might have resulted in attacks. So it's hard to criticize that. I think perhaps on the intelligence collection standpoint, once we had kind of calibrated what was out there, I think we might have adjusted it a little bit and maybe been, frankly, a little bit more transparent in why we were collecting what we were collecting. But I will say that a lot of the uproar about collection of metadata, which is really nothing more than who the sender of a message is, who the recipient is, and how long its duration was, I think it was slightly overdone, maybe because the scale of it seemed a little bit unaccustomed. But the fact is, one of the things we learned in looking at 9/11 is that the connectivity among the hijackers was a major factor that we could have used to frustrate the attacks. And therefore, looking for those kinds of signs and signals without getting into content, had some real value.
That makes me want to ask you a very uncomfortable question, even an inhumane one, which is, if we haven't had any major Islamic terrorist attacks inside the United States emanating from abroad, and again, I know we've had some lone wolf stuff, San Bernardino and whatnot. I mean, should your initial reaction to that be, wow, we did a fantastic job, or should it be, wow, we probably really overspent?
It's not the latter, because I'll tell you, we came close in 2005. Or maybe 2006, when we had a plot that was uncovered to fly airplanes from Heathrow to North America and blow a dozen up in midair. And it was very good intelligence work. Some of the things you're talking about that allowed us to detect and stop that so nobody got killed. So the fact that we didn't have a big attack here was not an accident. And there was a deterrent effect, to be honest. Had we been lax, more would have tried. At some point, they gave up and focused on other things. But that's not an argument against vigilance. It actually validates vigilance.